All right, so since Joe Flacco has officially been named the starter for Week 1 between the Jets and the Ravens, Ravens fans have been expecting this for a while, to be honest with you. Unfortunately, Zach Wilson is unable to go. Hopefully, he heals up, quickly and is able to get back on the field. But it's a pretty big luxury, if you ask me, for the Jets to have Zach Wilson, Joe Flacco, and even a guy like Mike White, who's had success. And I put out a couple of videos earlier this week talking about how smooth the offense looked at times when he was running it. But in terms of Joe Flacco, there's not a lot of stats, number one, to show or to talk about, I should say. You do have one start from week 11 or week 12 in 2021 against the Dolphins, and we'll show significant film from that here. Have some preseason film that's somewhat inconsistent, and I hesitate to say the next part of my monologue here, but that's been kind of the story of Joe Flacco's career in certain cases. You got some extreme highs, which generally happened in the playoffs and in cold weather situations and often on the road, which says unbelievable things about him and the coaching staff that he was able to do that. But then you also have, very underwhelming performances at times that were disappointing, where the Ravens had a chance to win certain games, even big games at times, and Joe Flacco was unable to close them out. And I say that as a big Joe Flacco fan. I mean, Lamar Jackson's my favorite player in the NFL for a number of years, but as a Ravens fan, longtime Ravens fan, have to have respect for Joe Flacco, what he accomplished here, and the fact that he's still in the league. I mean, it's kind of amazing. He won the Super Bowl 10 years ago, right? And he's still able to draw a paycheck in the league, and at this point, be named a starter in Week 1 for the Jets. Kind of surreal that it's going to be against the Ravens. In any case, we're going to check out some of the film. And to be honest with you, I'm going to show, I think, 2 complete possessions against the Dolphins in 2011. This is a touchdown pass. It kind of characterizes a lot of what he's done in the film that I have, is just short, quick passes. Now, how does that fit against the Ravens defense? I mean, if we had Wink Martindale as a defensive coordinator, I'm not sure, because the Ravens, played a lot of physical press man-to-man defense, especially when we had healthy versions of Marcus Peters, Marlon Humphrey, and Jimmy Smith, who at that time in 2019, I'm speaking of, was a pretty high-level corner. This is a possession that ends in a punt. And again, a lot of short passes. Flacco, to me, the advantage of him is he can execute multiple concepts. He's got experience and background in so many different offensive systems. That was one of the criticisms that we had while he was here, is that there were times where he went through multiple offensive coordinators over a 3, 4, 5 year period. A lot of us believe that his best, season, his best performance was in a Gary Kubiak style offense where you had play action, built in off of a solid run game. One of the things that I wonder about, we were actually talking about in my Discord earlier today, was, what personnel groupings do the Jets think are going to succeed for them? This is 12 personnel, so you've got 2 tight ends, one of them motioning from left to right, and then he's going to kick out the edge player on the right and, trying to run up inside there. Now, I know that some of the personnel is different here because we're talking about 2021, but generally I think you're talking about the same staff and the same people calling plays and creating a game plan. You get a pretty good look at this formation. I would say this would be probably the most dangerous 12 personnel formation, in my opinion, that the Jets will offer, in that you have 2 tight ends. And I did a video, I'm not sure if you guys checked it out, on their split zone concept. I put it out, I think, Tuesday. You can run the zone this way with all these guys, and then you can bring this tight end across and cut or kick out that backside edge player. Or you can do it the other way, run the zone to the right, do whatever you want with this guy. You can release him outside like a route. You can kind of release him up to the inside linebacker, and then run this other tight end or H-back across, kick out this edge player. And the reason that I think it would be dangerous is on what I just drew up there. You're kicking out here, moving up, sealing this linebacker. Basically, when I say seal him, you're trying to seal him this way. What's that do? It sets up the running back, cutting it back, kicking out the edge player, sealing off this guy to the inside. That's why out of 12 personnel, which I actually don't think is going to be the most dangerous personnel group for the Jets, that formation, however, I think offers its own challenges because it's balanced and they're not giving away their intention in terms of where the run concept could go. We're going to kind of speed through some of this, to be honest with you. I'm not going to touch on every play. This is a really neat play out of 21 personnel. So this is a fullback here. You got a receiver, and then the tailback. So the tight end is up top and he's standing up. So they're making it look like it could be a screen to, I think this is Moore, who's pretty talented and fast up top. And then you got a fullback running a little shake slant, getting wide open over the middle of the field. Cool concept. I think that's the advantage of Flacco, is that he's got such a vast array of experience in so many different offenses and with so many different concepts. They're moving this inside linebacker with the running back crossing Flacco's face. So he's stepping with it, and that's just further opening that pass lane to the fullback, who generally you would not think is a big pass threat downfield. I don't even know if that guy's on the team this year, to be honest with you. But the point is, the concept, the play design is what opened it up. All right, we all know as Ravens fans that the Dolphins love this blitz zero or stick stuff, like I call it. How did the Jets try to handle it? Some pretty cool stuff, to be honest with you. I think Zach Wilson or Mike White could execute these things too, to be honest with you. When you get the end zone angle, this is going to be a little bit more clear. Flacco is reading one or both of these players that's all between the right guard and the right tackle. You'll see him from the end zone angle in a moment. He gives it, come on, what's Joe Flacco going to do anytime there's a zone read? If it's 2008 or 2009 when he's a young quarterback for the Ravens, we all know he had running ability. I mean, he busted 2 long runs that I remember that were 50 yards plus. In this case, he's going to give it, pretty much every time. Generally, he'd be reading that D tackle. You can see the D tackle kind of sits. The DB who's blitzing, because again, it's that sticks blitz zero concept. He's running upfield as well. You'd like to think if you were the Dolphins and you had it to do over again, you'd say, hey, go with the running back, and you go upfield to take the quarterback, forced to give read. I'm not sure the Dolphins necessarily planned on anyone running against that sticks blitz zero look, but it is a good option. Speed forward here a little bit. This possession does end in a punt. Another sticks blitz zero, and the Jets go empty. Flacco thinks he's got a receiver who's going to check up here. And by the way, their receiving core is talented. I mean, you got Davis, you got Moore, and you add Garrett Wilson to the mix. I mean, that's why I say I don't think the 12 personnel group is going to be the more dangerous group. I think it's going to be 11 personnel when they get those 3 dangerous receivers on the field together against the Ravens nickel. Sticks blitz zero again. He's going backside to Moore, and there's certainly contact here. What's the point, though, about Flacco? Flacco, at this point, he will give his receivers the chance to make a play. Do you remember a lot of the touchdowns to Torrey Smith that he had in their brief time in Baltimore together? They were plays like this where he's not throwing it up. I mean, he's throwing it to a particular side because he understands the coverage. He understands the leverage that coverage is creating. All right, another possession against the Dolphins. We're going to get to the preseason film here in a minute. My intention is for this to be 25 minutes long. If you're a Jets fan and you want to make corrections about the offense here, go right ahead. But one thing we all will agree on is that Joe Flacco has always had a big arm. So these play action concepts, if you ask me, would be a great option for them to go to, especially early. He can get the ball downfield on a 7-step drop, and he can punish the defense for having second-level players, inside linebackers and strong safeties who come downhill on run action like this one. Little play action just freezes the linebackers a little bit, but this route is at such a depth that I'm not sure that it's going to necessarily be impacted by these guys anyway. The one thing I noticed in the preseason game this year, and if you're a Jets fan or someone who watched the Jets-Giants game, let me know. It seemed like Flacco kind of overthrew like 3 or 4 receivers in that preseason game, and that's something that I can't say was highlighted a lot during his career, to be honest with you. I don't remember him as a guy who missed a ton of throws like that. I thought there was at least 3 that were up high. Again, I'm talking about against the Giants in the preseason game, the final preseason game. Quick pass concepts out to the flat. Speeding through some of this. Run game concept on 3rd and 3. One thing I really like about whoever's responsible for the Jets offense is they don't go away from the run game. They understand that they've got to be balanced in terms of what they're offering the defense. And I would liken it a little bit to the Titans, somewhat, not as heavily reliant on the run game in all aspects. I think that serves Joe Flacco well. Does it serve Zach Wilson well? The one thing I will say is, like, Zach Wilson on these type plays where he appears to be reading something, Zach Wilson has the athletic ability to keep it and get to the edge and score. I mean, to my knowledge, he had a 52-yard touchdown run against the same Dolphins in 2021 earlier in the season. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments section. Maybe it was against someone else. 11 personnel, I think, is where the game is going to be won or lost for the Jets and the Ravens. This is supposed to be just a little screen out of 11 personnel. You got the tight end to the top side and 3 receivers to the downside on our screen. The Dolphins appear to be playing cover 3. Incomplete. That one's kind of wonky to me. It's like, where's at that point in time, with that being his first start in I think over a year, it looks like it might have been tipped actually on the end zone angle. But initially, I was wondering if maybe there was some miscommunication between him and the receiver. Here is what I would expect to see more of, not necessarily from the personnel, 21 personnel, but run concepts with the play action or boot built in off of it. Because Flacco's big arm, again, I think sets that up extremely well. And the Jets can, or any team for that matter, but the Jets can have low risk plays, the stretch game, the inside zone, or the split zone that I did a video on, 2 or 3 days ago. And then the play action off of it, you can see the quarterback, Flacco, here, on the handoff moving this way. They're trying to get all these defenders moving to the defense's right, the offense's left, and then he's going to boot back the other way. That's one of the concepts that's just timeless. It's going to be there 50 years from now in football, unless they legislate all contact out of the game. But you've got clearly you're influencing defenders to move here. And what are they doing? They're putting this backside edge player in conflict. What's he do? Does he run down the line of scrimmage? Does he veer off to the quarterback like Chandler Jones and other guys do and chase a sack? But in that case, possibly, give up another, cutback or really wind back lane off that stretch concept. So it puts some indecision in that backside edge player's mind about what play concept is it, because he doesn't know, obviously, if the quarterback is going to hand the football off or keep it, until such time that he can see the little brown football has been handed off to the running back or it has not. I think that's one of the concepts the Jets have got to go to early on, to be honest with you, kind of test out this Ravens defense. One thing I noticed in this game, I touched on it earlier, I think once or twice, Flacco is going to give his receivers an opportunity to make a play. It doesn't work out in this case. I think he's going up the middle of the field. I think it's to Corey Davis, who I'm glad has found a place to contribute. I always thought he was an underrated guy. And Flacco is going to be fading back against this pressure. It looks very similar to the way Lamar was trying to throw the ball down in Miami in that Thursday night game where the offense looked terrible. He's going to give his guys a chance to make a play. At this point, Flacco doesn't have the mobility or escapability to try to move out of the pocket and create more time. Not that you're going to be able to really escape all this pressure anyway, for real. I mean, even Lamar was unable to escape that pressure. When you're bringing 6, 7 guys just filling every gap, it's impossible to do so. Point being, Joe Flacco will give his receivers an opportunity to make a play. As a Ravens fan, that's kind of scary because you're going to end up with, now, we've got Marcus Williams sitting back there, presumably, who's a great free safety with high level awareness, the ability to go make plays. So it doesn't scare me from that standpoint, but Flacco's going to put the ball up. And there'll probably be times on 3rd and 8 where he's willing to throw the ball up and see if his receiver makes a play, or, unfortunately for the Jets, maybe throw an interception that essentially acts like a punt. All right, the third part of this is going to be 2022 preseason film of Joe Flacco's start against the Giants. I think he played 3 possessions. You've got 12 personnel to me. Again, if they're going to threaten the Ravens' base defense, which has historically been pretty damn good for real, if you're a Jets fan or anyone watching this, the Ravens' defense has been really effective in their base because our interior defensive tackles are able to influence the run game and stuff run lanes, just like you see here. But in our nickel defense, we just do not have the same ability to cancel run gaps. I like the split zone play. I know there's been a lot of conversation about it, about how how H-backs or tight ends are cutting people. I mean, it's just the game of football. It's always been an element to it. I'm not sure why people want to legislate all the physicality out of the game. Certainly takes some aggressiveness out of the edge players' ability to pursue or get after the quarterback. However, this is a 2nd and 8, 12 personnel again. So their 12 personnel, I had it as being somewhat balanced. I think I had it at 54% pass and 46% run. My numbers might be off there. At this point, it was like 4 days ago that I broke down the tendencies. You can see another short pass out into the left flats. Flacco's got a not just a good arm, but a really good arm, especially when he's able to set his feet and throw on time. 11 personnel, again, anything that looks like a mesh where he could be reading it, Joe Flacco's going to give it. Now, in this case, it is the correct read because you have a nickel defender who's blitzing off the edge. I think Flacco has seen, these blitzes hundreds or thousands of times from some pretty damn good defensive coordinators. So I would not expect him to be surprised or tricked, to be honest with you. Play action concept, trying to get the ball out into the flats. I really like Braxton Berrios. As a Ravens fan, I'm not sure I'm a big fan of him, but he's so willing to do whatever's asked of him. He is initially blocking here, and then he's going to slip out into the flats. So I have this called Z delay because I consider him a Z receiver. I'm not sure. You're probably considered a slot on their depth chart. Same possession, 1st and 10. You've got 12 personnel, so 2 tight ends. Again, quick out into the flats to Corey Moore, another dangerous receiver. I certainly think that him, Wilson, Mims, Davis, all of those guys, they have the ability to threaten the Ravens. Again, I talked about this earlier from the 2021 film. Very similar concept. You've got the stretch going to the top side, Flacco, booting off of it. It's clearly, a run play. It's a loss of 2. But that's the concept that I think they're going to go to early, unless they're just going to get into 11 personnel like this. Now, this is 3rd and 3. Everybody's in 11 personnel in the NFL on 3rd and 3. Unless they're just going to get into 11 personnel and throw the ball all over the field. But I don't think that's what they're going to do with Joe Flacco. When Mike White was in last year, that's not what they did. As was pointed out in our Discord, the possibility for a lot of screens, absolutely. There's certainly a miscommunication on this play. The running back is going to the right, Flacco's going to the left, and then running the boot back to the same side. So you've certainly got some kind of mix-up. Ends up being a ball that he just throws away. And by the way, the interception that he throws in this game, I don't have film of that. NFL.com did not have film of that available. 2nd and 10, one of the overthrows that I'm talking about. Now, it's good coverage in any case. You've got good coverage here. So I'm not saying that it was a wide-open receiver that he overthrew. That ball clearly appears to be overthrown by about 2 yards to me. We've seen Joe Flacco make that throw many times in his career. 11 personnel on 3rd and 10. Joe Flacco's got a little bit of movement ability here. He's just so smart. And flips the ball out to the running back. It looked like there was a lot of starters on here to me. I didn't see, for those first 3 possessions anyway. If you're a Jets fan, you can correct me on that. I'm certainly not sure about the offensive line, how many starters were out there. But that's a really nice play. Him understanding that no one appears to be open over here, and then understanding where to go with the football late to the running back to give his team an opportunity to keep the chains moving. Unfortunately, they get a fumble that results in a turnover. Handful of more plays, to be honest with you, here before we're done. 12 personnel again, twin wing B. This time the back is on the opposite side of the 2 tight ends, and it's another pass play. Little bit of a mix-up here with these 2 tight ends. Watch the release. One of them's getting jammed out. Okay, so he's kind of getting jammed into the other guy. They kind of end up running their routes right into each other. And the guy who got jammed, 83, who's a good-looking player, I think it's Conklin, right? He gets jammed out. He ends up running the slant and catching the football. Flacco on these throws is the same guy. He's the same guy he was, as a rookie. I mean, just boom, laser. I did a video on Lamar last night where I was talking about that, like his arm strength on certain throws, elite, top level, whatever you want to call those things. Those guys can get the job done. Again, 12 personnel. This is play action where they're looking to get the ball downfield. Cool concept. I think it's just a little overthrown. Now you do have a safety closing on this, so I'm not pretending that it's a guy who's absolutely wide open and should be completed 99 times out of 100. We're talking about the concept, play action, and the pass routes. So Garrett Wilson running a little deep out, and then Moore running up the sideline. We'll pull this back so you can see it. Wilson, maybe ran that route a little bit deeper than I have it drawn there. And then Moore is essentially operating as a clear-out route. Love this concept. You don't call this concept with a quarterback who doesn't have a big arm, right? He's got to throw it over the top of this guy. He's got to throw it with such velocity that he gets it to the sideline before that high defender, that safety, can close, unless he chooses to go up top to the vertical to Moore. I just think it's a little bit overthrown. Is it 4 yards overthrown? No. I think it's definitely 2 yards overthrown. Again, classic run concept with Flacco booting off of it, just holding that backside defender, forcing him to respect the boot. The Ravens, when Justin Houston and Odafe Owe are on the field, they're very disciplined. They'll stay square and they'll wait until they know. They'll wait until they see the ball handed off, or they'll wait until they see the quarterback with the ball. They're not going to commit one way or the other. Another one that I guess you could say is slightly overthrown to the tight end. Moore is running this little stop route. Conklin running this little fade. I think that's Conklin. If it's not, let me know. It's like a 3rd and 6, I believe. It's not like there's a huge window to throw the ball, but this ball could be completed in this area, if you ask me. And we've seen Joe Flacco complete this before. I think he sails this a little bit. I think he's trying to get it over top of the defender. It looks like to me there's 3 of them in this game. Maybe there was 4, maybe there was more than that, but he only played 3 possessions. Same play I showed you from the Dolphins game in 2021. I don't have the end zone angle of this, but just by the way, it's 12 personnel, so you got a tight end here and a tight end here. Going to motion one tight end from left to right. He's going to try to kick out or dig out that backside outside linebacker who wrong arms it, so ends up inside the kick out block. So what's the running back do? Just bounce. I mean, certainly with the running back talent the Jets have, which is significant, they have guys who can do that. I think the Ravens, in order to really be successful defensively, have got to try to make them one-dimensional, but do it without being overcompensating too much. Wink Martindale would stop the run, no question, but he would overcompensate too much to do so and then give up big plays in the pass game. That was how things worked out for the Ravens in the last 2 or 3 years. I hope Wink, doesn't do that anymore with the Giants. I hope they adjust and they don't give up those big plays. Another short pass play here. We got 2 more, I think, and then we're out. Let me know what you think of my breakdown of some of the plays. Can the Jets win this game with Joe Flacco? Absolutely. I felt like that went unsaid. Another 11 personnel. And just so you know, Corey Davis's background here with the Titans offers them a lot in terms of lining him up here next to a tight end. He doesn't block like a tight end, don't get me wrong, but he's capable of digging people out here on these run concepts. Now, no one blocks the D tackle on this play, so it doesn't matter what Corey Davis does for real. So they end up with a loss on, I think, a 3rd and short. Point being, Flacco can win the game, in my opinion. Can the Ravens go in there and really, attack Joe Flacco? Yeah, but at the risk of being inflammatory, like I don't think you want to attack this Jets team too much with the blitz, because I saw so many screens last year against the Bengals that it would kind of scare me off from a lot of the blitzes, and that's one of the ancillary benefits of running screens, is you can kind of scare teams out of blitzing. Now, everybody doesn't think like that. Guys like Wink Martindale, they're just going to keep on blitzing. I don't think Mike McDonald is one of those guys. I think the Ravens are going to look at it strategically and say, hey, they've run a significant number of screens last year, at least to my knowledge. Now, in the preseason, did I see a bunch of screens? No, I did not. But I don't think anybody's running a whole lot of screens in the preseason. So appreciate you guys checking out the video. Let me know your thoughts on Flacco starting for the Jets, how you think it impacts the game, if you think he gives them a better chance to win than Mike White. I personally think Mike White is a better quarterback than he gets credit for. Certainly, they being the Jets as a franchise and a fan base, they would want Zach Wilson to start because he's got a lot of talent, has made some big plays, and has a bright future in this league. Appreciate you guys checking out the video. If you enjoyed the content, please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you really enjoyed this video, consider sharing it on social media to help it get more reach. Appreciate you guys being here.